I'm glad. It's just a little close to you.
I'm glad that I get to join you again. It's been a little bit. It's been a couple months since we did a podcast.
Yeah. Well, lately me and Michael have been working on these weight loss things, and they've been kind of intense. And I was like, we need some more topical stuff.
Yeah, y'all got to 12 episodes? Great series, by the way.
Thanks.
So recommend, if you haven't watched it yet, start at the beginning, part 1, and then all the way to part 12. So
thanks, man. And like that plug in there.
Yeah, we'll plug in there. It really is a good series. I know that y'all put a lot of work into that, and there's a lot of good information in there. So
yeah. Well, I think everybody's kind of going through that same thing, right? Like, we want to do something. How do we do it? There's so much information on the internet, and I think we were talking before in clinic. Most information on the internet focuses on the 2% things, right? The things that maybe have a small impact, but just sounds really cool during that time. What we want to do is just get the 90% part right, because if we do that part right, we usually don't have to worry about the 2%.
Exactly. Like, people try and focus on, trying to find these little minute things that they can change. But, I mean, again, that change might have like a 2% effect on your overall health when you need to look at the bigger picture.
Right. Exactly, which is what we're doing today. Yep. So today we're up for some more myth busting because you were so good at that last time. And this one's going to be interesting because it's mainly focused on diabetics. We have a lot of diabetics, and we answer actually a lot of the similar questions because everybody keeps asking the same thing. So today we're just going to address maybe 6 of the most common ones, and we'll get your thoughts.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we're going to lob them up for you. All right, so the first common myth, and this is one that we hear a lot, is juice. This idea of juice being better than soda.
Yeah, I actually hear this quite a lot. People say, "Oh, well, I stopped drinking Cokes, or I stopped drinking Dr. Peppers." Now, and then with more investigation, kind of like asking questions here and there about just habits, they switch from drinking a soda to they'll still drink like apple juice, grape juice, or orange juice, or high C, or fruit punch, but they think because it's 100% fruit juice that it's going to be better for them.
Correct.
Than drinking like a soda. So
yes.
That is a myth.
A big
Just
one.
Just FYI, that is a myth.
Yes.
So you have to look at it from different angles, and I think you have to put it into context because yes, of course, having 100% fruit juice comes from fruit. If you look on the nutrition label, there's going to be one ingredient. Of course, that's going to be healthier than drinking a processed soda. Yeah. But you have to look at the individual because it may not be healthy for diabetes.
Right.
So in general, everybody's unique, and you have to look at the definition of health. Like, what do you consider healthy?
Right.
Right. So I think an average 8-ounce glass of, actually, I wrote it down. Let's look.
Oh, okay. Let's look.
8-ounce glass of orange juice. I want you to guess how many grams of sugar is in 8-ounce glass of orange juice.
I'm going to say 20.
23 grams of sugar.
Okay.
In 8-ounce glass. And that's in orange juice. And apple juice is about 28 grams of sugar. In grape juice, about 35 grams of sugar.
35. Okay.
And again, this is only 8 ounces.
Right.
Do most people sit there and measure out their juice in a glass? No. Yeah. Just fill up the glass, right? And that winds up being sometimes even double the amount of a serving size. So when you compare, drinking 35 grams of sugar to, I think an average Coke is about, so a 12-ounce Coke is about 39 grams of sugar. Yeah. But that's 12 ounces,
exactly.
Right? So when you're comparing for a person with diabetes, you're trying to monitor your blood sugar. Right. I mean, neither one of them are good.
No.
Neither one of them.
Exactly.
So, so even though fruit juice is
fruit, yeah,
it's much better to eat the actual whole fruit. I think so I looked it up just to compare what a glass of orange juice, so 8 ounces of oranges, what would that compare to in an actual orange? And I think it's the equivalent to about 4 whole oranges. Right. So imagine the fiber that comes from a whole fruit. So there's so much more benefits to eating a whole fruit. It helps with regulating that blood sugar a little bit better. That fiber helps in the digestion of that fruit. So that's going to be a lot more filling, a lot more satisfying the whole fruit than drinking the fruit juice.
Absolutely. So if y'all need to hear that again, we totally agree. I mean, if I was telling a lot of my diabetics, if the first thing that we can work on, if there's only one thing you can work on, it'll be liquid sugar, right? In all forms, because like you said, there's no fiber in orange juice. There's no nothing. And so the way it absorbs in the gut is so different than eating an orange.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just all concentrated sugar is what it is. There's nothing to help break down the sugar. So it just automatically raises your blood sugar. Even though it is fruit juice,
right,
it still raises your blood sugar.
Exactly. So do your best to avoid them. Obviously, water is the best. 0 calorie things, as much as flack they get on the internet right now, in diabetics, it's going to be better off for their sugar control.
Right.
So if you have to substitute some kind of stevia version of things, consider doing that versus just drinking juice.
Right. And it's much more satisfying and fulfilling to eat whole foods, whole fruit, as opposed to the juice.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Savannah, number 2, and this one's a funny one. Healthy foods, as advertised, like a plant-based chicken nugget, is not always better than a chicken nugget.
Right. I have not personally tried a plant-based chicken nugget before. Have you tried any of them?
The other day I was talking to a patient about it, because sometimes I'll go to the grocery store and you'll see them. They advertise in the health food section. This is a plant-based chicken nugget. There is like 40,000 ingredients in there. Things that we don't I don't even know what half of them are.
Right. Can't even pronounce half of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing. You have to look at the individual product itself and like you did, look at the back and read all the ingredients and kind of discern which product is going to be healthier, compare different products when you going shopping, because it is a processed food.
Yeah.
It is processed. They have to add things to it to preserve it. They have to add salt to it. They have to add flavor to it, texture. You can't make a fake chicken nugget out of beans and expect you have to make it enjoyable. Nobody's going to buy it.
Right.
So they advertise it as health food products, just like a lot of things. A lot of manufacturers, a lot of advertising companies will put a claim on the front of a package, and you have to be able to read it and look into the ingredients, look at the nutrition facts label to be able to discern, okay, is this actually healthy for me or is it not?
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe that the whole premise of that is just because something is advertised as healthy might not mean the same thing. And actually, this is where the world of CGMs and diabetics has really helped. So CGM is a continuous glucose monitor. It's that little thing that people wear. And for a lot of people, if they eat a quote unquote health food, but it spikes their sugar up, that is a sign that you should probably avoid that.
Exactly. Oh, CGMs are great, fantastic tools, especially for, of course, type 1 diabetics, but especially if you have type 2 and it's uncontrolled and you're like, I cannot figure out how to get this controlled, what is causing my blood sugar to increase. And I can go on a whole side tangent about this, but each individual is so different, how their body regulates sugar, how the insulin is regulated in their body. So somebody that is a diabetic may be able to eat a serving of fruit and it may not cause their blood sugar to increase very much. But then the next diabetic be able to eat a serving of fruit and their blood sugar will spike and go out the roof. Yeah. So each person is very unique in how their blood sugar is controlled. So CGMs are a great tool to help with that.
Yep. Yeah. So, if Libre wants to sponsor us, just kidding. Okay. The third one, this is making a comeback, apple cider vinegar.
I think I was telling you this earlier, but I had 3 people mention apple cider vinegar to me this week, and I haven't heard anything about it in a long time. Yes. And we go through phases. Social media, again, that's a big tool. People consume information through social media. So I'm guessing it's making a comeback on TikTok or Instagram or some influencer somewhere said something about apple cider vinegar. Now, here's my take on apple cider vinegar. And this is, you can tell me yours.
Yes.
But there is no harm that I'm aware of in drinking apple cider vinegar, if that's what you want to do. Now, is there significant benefits shown? I haven't seen or found any. Right. I haven't seen any definitive research that shows apple cider vinegar helps you lose 10 pounds of belly fat or whatever. I'm not even sure of all the claims that they claim apple cider vinegar does. Yeah. I think one might be like digestion or they even said it helps regulate blood sugar. I think that's where we're going with this is for diabetics. If you want to take it, it probably won't hurt you, but will it benefit you and cause your blood sugar to be regulated and you'll have to get off medicine? Probably not.
Correct.
And to be honest, it's nasty. So it doesn't taste good.
Right.
So if if in my take, if you want to drink apple cider vinegar, take a shot of it, mix it in your water, and whatever you may do,
correct,
by all means do it. But be miraculous in any way? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I'm completely with you. I think this is what we said before in the beginning of the podcast. This is a 2% thing, right? Harm is probably low, and we'll piggyback that. This definitely probably cannot replace any of the medications.
Oh, no.
Right? Because I can't think of any medicine's effect that, as far as lowering A1C that apple cider vinegar could mimic.
No.
Now, I've heard people, and what they'll do is like, I ate Mama Hamels, and I took some apple cider vinegar to block the sugar. At which point, I would say I would rather just not eat.
Yeah, Mama Hamels.
Yeah,
or just don't eat 3,000 calories in one sitting.
Correct. Exactly. Maybe that's not that. And so exactly right. So this is one of those things like, do not put all your eggs in a basket on apple cider vinegar to fix things, and definitely don't let it replace your medicine.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. Please be compliant with your medication that your provider prescribed to you, because that probably is getting to our next point. If your blood sugar, A1C, lab value of any kind is controlled when you're on medication, that means you have to stay on the medication.
Right. Exactly. And that's exactly right. So this is number 4. A lot of people, okay, so this is what I usually tell people when I see them. Diabetes type 2, very, very common in the United States. Heavily dietary disease, which means we can control a lot of it with lifestyle. We change our eating habits, we increase our exercise, we get our weight under control, we improve our sleep, we improve our stress. And for the most part, if we keep those things going, people will be able to control diabetes, and sometimes even reverse it. And so we say that very loudly. Patients do, some people get on it, they really work on it, they do get it under control, they're super happy. This is the point we're saying. The moment you stop doing what got you there, the diabetes is going to come back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think of all the patients that I've seen, I have seen a few that have been they've had a lot of willpower, a lot of diligence. They have a goal. I'm going to get off of my metformin. I'm going to get off of my medication, get off my blood pressure medication. I have a goal to do this. And they 360 change their entire lifestyle, make dietary changes, stick with it. They say, okay, well, this isn't just a diet. This is my lifestyle now. They start exercising, and we've seen people that are able to control it and eventually, control it enough to get off of medication. But as you said, you have to stick with whichever dietary habit, pattern, whatever it may be, exercise habit that got you there to remain in control. You can't you can't get your A1C down and come into the doctor and have your A1C good for 1 month and then stop taking your medication, or, oh, my A1C is better, I can just go back to eating the way I want to. And then the next month your A1C is back through the roof. Correct. 11% from 6.2, in 3 months time.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And that's one thing we've seen a lot, because, if you listen to our last series, it's all about trying to make sure these habits stick, right? And they're not easy to stick, because I tell people that diabetic lifestyle of, eating and then exercise and sleep, it is the most un-American, we Americans, we're crushing, drinks, we're crushing Starbucks, we're doing these high sugar lattes, we're eating pretty much unhealthy foods. We don't move very a lot. We're very sedentary. So to think about how to control that, we're essentially doing all the opposites, right? We're trying to eat clean.
And for most people, it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to stay in that. And that's why it's a lot of times not maintainable for people, or they get too restrictive. Yeah. And keto is a big one. Yes. Keto is a huge one. They completely cut out most of their carbs, only eat meat and very little vegetables, and try and control it that way. And some people see success. They see weight loss, and they see their A1C or blood sugar numbers get into the right range, but you don't want to eat that way for the rest of your life. Right. That's not maintainable. You want to be able to enjoy your holidays. You want to be able to go out to dinner on Valentine's Day, and not have the fear of, gaining that extra 10 pounds back, or your A1C shooting through the roof.
Correct. And I think that's really the key. I mean, when it comes to, lifestyle habits, just finding something that you can stick with, and it will change over time. Maybe you can only do this X for the next 3-6 months, but after you kind of get the hang of it, you might can improve it and get better at it. And so this is one of those parts, again, why I tell people most of our habits that made us diabetic took decades to form. It should not surprise if it took 5 years for us to reverse it.
Right.
But the key is just persistence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. All right, Savannah, this is one, I don't know if this is so much a myth, but this is one that we've heard a lot. Most people that we've seen that are metabolically unhealthy don't like vegetables. So we're going to go ahead and say it. Vegetables are good for you.
Yes, vegetables are great. I hear people all the time, oh, I'm really picky. I don't like vegetables at all. If I eat vegetables, it might be corn or fried okra.
Yeah.
And we live in the South, y'all. I mean, emphasis on the y'all. We live in the South where a lot of our vegetables, especially if you go out to restaurants, tend to be fried.
Yes.
So go back to eating real vegetables. Vegetables are good, and you can cook them to where they taste good. You don't have to add a bunch of butter, salt, all that stuff to make them taste good. You can add other things to them, and again, non-starchy vegetables, you can eat a larger volume of food that way and it not affect your blood sugar. So if you're someone who struggles with portion control, vegetables are a great source for you. Vegetables and protein. Yeah.
And again, this is I would say almost every single person that we've seen have had horrible cholesterol or horrible blood pressure or horrible diabetes. When we're coaching them, the first thing they're like, "Oh, I don't eat vegetables." And you're like, "This is a common thing." We're trying to see this. This is a common thing.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know what I would do if I didn't eat vegetables. I guess that you mostly eat carbs. That's what it would be. Most of your meals would be carb based then. But yeah, you add some flavor to your meals. Add some. A lot of people are just afraid to try vegetables because they think that they don't like them.
Yeah.
They don't put a lot of variety into their eating habits. So they just haven't tried any new vegetables. Asparagus is good.
Delicious.
You cook it in the oven.
My goodness.
Put some lemon pepper on it, or get a lemon and squeeze on there, and so you can do all kind of different ways of cooking vegetables. You can saute them, put them in the oven. You can put them on the grill. So many different options.
So again, if you learn anything, and like I said, you can eat a lot more vegetables. They will work on your cravings. If people that says they have this food noise in their head all the time, if you eat a lot of vegetables, that food noise usually goes away.
Vegetables and protein.
And protein, So those are the things we always push. Protein, you want to keep the muscle mass. You want to lean body mass. You don't want to lose a lot of body muscle when you're trying to lose weight. Protein was helpful. You need the micronutrients. You need the macronutrients. You need the minerals. That's where all the vegetables are.
Right.
We can eat like that and survive for a long time.
You can,
really
and
healthy.
there's fiber in vegetables too, and that helps regulate your blood sugar better too. So.
Yep. All right, and this is the last one. We're going to put this, and this is an interesting one: skipping meals.
Okay, so I will say 9 out of the 10 people that I talk to skip breakfast, go to work, drink a cup of coffee, get busy at work, skip lunch, come home, eat a really big meal, and then snack the rest of the night. I mean, almost every person I talk to, that is their eating pattern. So, and I think people believe that they are wanting to lose weight. Most people want to lose weight, and their intentions are cutting back. And if I'm trying to cut out my breakfast and maybe eat a small lunch, but by the time they get to dinner time, they haven't eaten hardly anything. So their body is craving food, and so you make up for not eating all day. So I think that is just by eating breakfast, eating small, frequent meals throughout the day, that will, number one, help cut back on snacking at night.
Correct.
But it'll also help control portions, and it'll also have you your blood sugar and your insulin regulation regulate better. So
I've had a lot of thoughts about the fasting and things like that, and it's my thoughts have flipped a lot throughout the time, and I agree. I mean, intermittent fast. So a couple of things breaking the myths. Intermittent fasting is not a magic, like if I just fast breakfast, I can eat whatever I want the rest of the day, because you can easily eat 300 calories in this house and essentially make that calorie balance zero. Like there's no benefit from that standpoint. And so what I've heard exactly what you've said too. This is what we've seen. Like people will fast from the breakfast. They might eat. They're so busy at work they barely eat anything. And at dinner time, they're out of willpower because they've been tired all day long, and they have full access to their pantry. And essentially they just blow up their diet.
Exactly,
right? And then they go to bed.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
And
exactly what happens.
exactly. So if that's you, the skipping food part is not working.
No.
And so we need to rethink that. And for some people, the frequent small meals seem to prevent them from binging late at night, which is what kills them.
Right.
And so all that being said, there's a lot of different strategies, but this kind of idea of as long as I skip breakfast, I eat whatever I want, that does not work out.
Right. And obviously, again, if you're diabetic, and if you have that one large meal, your blood sugar is going to skyrocket. So you're going to have that high rise. And then, of course, your blood sugar is going to eventually fall down. So you're going to have the lows. That's why those highs and lows, that inconsistency in your blood sugar, that's what causes your A1C to be so elevated. And that's what gives you problems. You know, that's why you feel sluggish throughout the day. That's why you're tired. You're exhausted. You don't feel like exercising.
Yep.
By the time you get off work, you just want to go sit down. That inconsistency in your blood sugar is what gives you that low energy and low drive.
Correct. And another thing I found out too is when you're doing a lot of the skipping stuff, it's hard to meet your protein goals because again, part of our thing, we have a lot of studies showing that as we age, we lose muscle mass, and the loss of muscle mass has a high correlation with death. And so we want to preserve that. So a lot of times when people are doing 1 meal a day or just 1.5 meals a day, they rarely meet their protein goal, which ends up losing muscle mass, which is what we don't want.
Exactly. Yes, I cannot emphasize that enough, Dr. Chin, because I see most people do not hit their minimum protein needs for the day, ever, you know.
Yeah.
And I try myself to be very intentional about protein, and protein is very satiating. So it does help prevent you from overeating. So at breakfast, get a good breakfast and eat some protein. Eat some scrambled eggs. Eat some Greek yogurt. You know, a piece of toast with some cottage cheese on it. Some kind of protein at each meal. Eat a high protein snack between lunch and breakfast and lunch. Have a good source of grilled chicken or some salmon or something. It's a packet of tuna if you're on the go for lunch.
Yeah.
You know, just increase your protein. Make sure you're focusing on lean protein throughout the day. Try and limit the amount of high saturated fat sources of protein. So you think, you know, the grease that comes off of bacon, that saturated fat. You think about fast food. So when you're trying to get, if you get fried chicken or if you get a hamburger, that is going to be very high calorie and very high in saturated fat. We're talking about grilled, lean sources of protein at every meal.
Exactly. Yeah. And so for the people who are trying to lose weight, that's a very, very big thing you want to keep because again, it keeps you full, keeps your blood sugar stable. So, So yeah. Well, awesome. Savannah, we went through all our lists. You did fantastic. Any final thoughts that you have?
Well, I feel like, especially for blood sugar, it's something that we always have to work on. Again, each individual person is unique in how their body reacts to certain foods. So just analyze your day-to-day habits. Analyze what you do, even consciously or unconsciously. You know, you may not even realize some things that add up over time that you do here and there. Like for me, kids, again, I probably have said this before, but I will finish a half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that my daughter doesn't eat. Or if my kids are eating Cheetos, I might grab a handful of Cheetos here or there, or just little things like that that tend to add up that we don't account for. That is another way to help lose weight, help regulate your blood sugar. So
yeah, that's a perfect one. And that will plug in. Our last episode that we did is all on tracking. So if you haven't watched that, you should watch that last tracking episode, which will be released this evening. So
awesome. Good deal.
Well, Savannah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's always fun joining you.
Oh, absolutely, girl.
Awesome.